Welcome back to RevOps Unlocked. Today, we're tackling one of the biggest levers for revenue growth and often the most overlooked: customer retention. In this episode, we're talking about how smart companies are reducing cancellations, winning back lost customers, and boosting lifetime value without relying solely on acquisition. You'll walk away with proven retention tactics, real-world win-back strategies, and insights into how to turn your existing customer base into a powerful engine for growth. If you care about sustainable revenue, this episode is a must. Welcome back to the RevOps Unlocked podcast. Today, we're tackling one of the biggest levers for revenue growth and often the most overlooked: customer retention and win-back strategies. Now, Michael, I want to start with the big picture. Why do you think so many companies prioritize acquisition over customer retention, even though the math clearly favors customer retention?
Couple of different ways to answer that. One is usually marketing budgets are based on new customers. So when companies sit down and they do their 2026 budget, they're going to say, okay, we need X amount of customers. It costs us X for that customer. So we need, $8.2 million to get the number. There's not a lot of people sitting around doing statistics on saying, well, how much money do we need to retain customers? Because in their mind, if we do a better job acquiring customers and doing the things that go along with that, we don't have to worry about retention. So it kind of falls back to 2 or 3 in a strategy because everyone's so focused on the new customer.
Yeah, and where should companies start when trying to reduce churn?
Well, the first place to start is let's look at the data of why they're churning. And what you'll find more often than not is they're churning for specific reasons. They're not just waking up on Tuesday and saying, I don't want your product anymore. Something happened along the way. So when I say look at the data, how many interactions did they have? Did they chat with you once or twice? Did they call 2 or 3 times? What were the cancellation signs that you missed and why you lost them? So for example, it goes to when you're looking at the data, did it get inputted into a CRM? Are you using any interaction analytics to hear the voice of the customer that says, I don't know why I got your product? The cancellation signs are there if you're listening.
And there's also early indicators, right? Like they're not purchasing as frequently or at all, right? Maybe they reduced their spending. Maybe they gave you negative feedback on a recent customer experience survey. There might even be early warning signals that companies can set up to alert of, hey, here's a customer that's likely to attrit. That's something I think companies could probably do a better job, is being a little bit more proactive in their approach. The next question I have for you is, can you walk us through a retention campaign that worked particularly well for you, either now or in the past?
Yeah. So over the years, the most successful campaigns are the ones where you're able to get to them within the first, say, 3 to 7 days after they cancel. Because as time goes on, it's much more difficult to get a consumer back because they've made a decision to go somewhere else. So the most successful campaigns are the ones that you have these things in place of protection. So when a call or a chat comes in with the dreaded words of, hey, I'd like to cancel my service today, we were able to have in front of us the data, and you can see that say something like, Lauren, I understand you've called our customer service line 5 times in the last 9 days, and I'm sure you're upset that no one was able to solve your problem. But I'm here, and let me see if I can help you. So those are the most successful campaigns when you're able to get either from the immediate interaction. Once they go past 7 days, it's very difficult. Now, we've done campaigns to do win-backs, but you have to understand that some of these products or subscription products, the first 30 days may be free. The first 2 months may be at a discount price. It's going to be very difficult to get someone to come back to you after they've signed up. So the next successful campaign is the trigger points. I did make that call. You did sign up with someone else. But by me asking you of how long is that contract with my competitor, and you say 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, that's where my CRM has to come in place to say on month 5, I'm going to reach out on you, knowing that your contract expires then to try to win you back. The most unsuccessful campaign is calling on someone who just signed up for new service. They're not going to switch back after that. So those are the places I've been successful.
And what role does customer experience play in retention, and how can RevOps leaders influence it?
I mean, these days, your contact center should be your biggest revenue driver. And if your CX care agents are not able to become sellers, you're probably not going to be successful. The hardest sale of all is retention because you have to win back someone who doesn't want your product anymore. So think about that. And
Mhm.
how often do we put in individuals who have no seller skills, no rebuttal skills, and they're trying to just offer you some free month or discount price or what someone offered me the other day, $20, that's not going to change your mind. So the biggest failure I've seen is asking someone who's really good at finding why your product didn't arrive or billing or technical support, try to flip the script and sell or resell you something that you no longer want. It's very difficult.
Yeah. Are there any other common mistakes that you see when teams are trying to build a win back strategy?
Yeah, putting the wrong leader in place. So again, retention is mostly outbound or it's coming inbound. It's hot. People are angry. They don't want your product. They got overbilled. The products didn't show up on time. They weren't what they thought they were. Not having the right leader in there makes it extremely difficult because, again, going back to what I said earlier of selling on every interaction, if you don't have a sales leader managing your retention team, they're more worried about how do I reduce my average handle time and how do I do first call resolution. That's what they've been embedded in their mind. Versus a sales leader is, hey, Laura, let's figure out how we can save, solution, and sell.
Yeah.
Different mindset. Again, going back to why do these campaigns fail is because they don't have the right leader in place. Data and leadership go hand in hand. And for those of us who sold in the past, you know that one or two bad calls could ruin your seller's mindset for the day. Care is different. You can get yelled at all day long. You know it's coming, but
Yep.
I got to drive revenue. And so I need good leaders, good coaches, good trainers. Again, it's the hardest thing to sell is to someone who doesn't want your product.
Yeah. I'd also add a big mistake that I see is win back is hard. It's outbound. You're calling a customer that has left. The hiring a care profile to do that campaign, completely wrong mistake. You need to hire a sales profile, someone that can take all the hang up calls, can take the yelling, can take the venting that's going to come back at you, but still win them over and make the sale. So I think the right profile and the right training are really, really critical. And that's probably where most companies go wrong.
Yeah, you're spot on. I mean, most companies go wrong because they don't put enough time into working with individuals to overcome the common objections. The other day, I got an email from my internet provider that said, I have over 20 devices connected to my Wi Fi. I was blown away. I mean, my kids have moved out. There's two of us here and a couple of cats. And, it shows all the devices. And I started wondering, because we do sell for many companies that do Wi Fi and broadband. Um, if you don't have the right Wi Fi in place and you don't have the right speeds and you have 20 something devices, you're going to be very unhappy with your broadband provider because you got sold on a lower price, lower gig package because the individual didn't hear how many devices you have. And so, of course, you're going to be unhappy. And then when you do call up, they're going to try to upsell you and you're going to be like, what, why? I was told in the beginning that this is sufficient for what I had.
Mhm.
So that starts the process of I'm going to start looking for another provider with a better package and a better offer. Going back to what you said on early warning signs. And so it's really important. that individual who takes that call has empathy, can sympathize with you, can be honest, and then help you find the right broadband because there's certain packages that other companies may not able to produce. So it's really important what you said before on hiring the right profile and training them the right way and not just try to put, as they say, butts in seats.
Mhm.
It just doesn't work in retention.
Yeah, I want to dive a little deeper into the how, right? So, how do you recommend structuring a retention or win back team? Like, who owns what? How would you do it?
Well, let's start with inside the organization who owns the team. Does the chief revenue officer own it? Does the chief marketing officer own it? Is it led by the CFO? Who in the organization owns retention? Because there's going to be a difference of opinion
Mhm.
and the P&L and the cost in who recognizes the revenue. So we have to find out inside the organization who's going to be driving this. Because again, the chief marketing officer is built on acquiring new customers. The chief revenue officer is just trying to find revenue everywhere, anything they can do. So there's an expense to the team.
Mhm.
So that's the first thing we want to find out. Then we got to put a strategy together to understand the KPIs and understand what we're really trying to achieve here. Because inbound retention, outbound retention, again, two different categories, two different profiles, two different types of leadership. So let's look at in the internal organization who owns it. Let's look at the tools and technology we're using, the dialer, the CRM. How are we going to slice and dice the data? Way too often, we just get too excited and we hire 25 people and we go, let's recruit them, let's train them, and let's put them out there. And we don't even know what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So when we start a retention program, it's really important to sit down with your partner and put a strategy together of what success is going to look like.
Mhm.
Then you can have a winning strategy. But how often have we seen in this industry that someone goes, yeah, we're having high churn. Could you put 25 people together and throw them over there and get them on the calls in less than a week? Or take 10% of my people and put them on retention. These are why programs fail. Like if you don't put the value on how to do it the right way, more often than not, they just blow up.
I am also going to add that that team is sitting on a gold mine worth of data. You want to figure out how do I improve my customer experience? Mine the insights that's coming out of your retention team because those are examples of where CX went wrong. So take those insights, reflect on them, dive into them, and then map those pain points out on your customer journey. Figure out how you solve them. And you'd be
I
surprised.
mean,
They're probably so easy and so simple. And then you have others that are a lot more complex, but that is such a good starting point.
there's a whole seller life cycle. And how many times do we come across companies that, no friction, we just want to solve their problem. We don't want to upsell and cross sell. And yet, if you go back to my situation where I have so many devices, but I might have the wrong broadband speed, and I could recognize that, let me upsell and cross sell to save that customer. Because if you just do CX, in the end, the challenge could be that when you do come back to them and say, here's how we can help you, you're going to be, why didn't you tell me this 3 phone calls ago? Why are you telling me this now?
Yep.
How many times have we heard that?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that when I signed up. But you know what? Just cancel me. Just forget it. Because immediately we feel like the company that we're working with is being disingenuous to us. And, oh, now you want to save me. We need to be really regimented in who we hire, how we train, and what the profile is going to be.
And then when it comes to the how, what's your take on using proactive outreach? Email, SMS, phone? Do you use a combination of all three? Is one more effective than the other? What works best usually?
I think we're in a time where customers want choice. And when we try to deflect and make them go through chat, they get more frustrated. People my age want to have a voice. Some people my kids' age, they're fine with chat. We got to give the customer choice. And if we don't, and you try to deflect them and put them through a certain way to have a conversation, you're going to frustrate them even more.
Yeah.
It's just Think about the world that we live in and how we communicate and how often when there's a problem, you make a phone call. When you have a question, you send a text. So many companies these days are trying to figure out ways to deflect and save and drive costs down per interaction. The ones who are investing in humans and AI to have that conversation are the ones that are going to win. People like to buy from people they like and trust. When you have a problem, you want to talk to someone. You just don't want to be stuck sometimes in SMS or chat. For some people, it works, but for others, it may not.
Yeah, I'm also gonna add outbound voice. These are some kinda tips that I've experienced, is number 1, you wanna make sure that your phone number pops up as your company name. Too many people will not answer their phone for numbers they don't know. Number 2, you wanna make sure that your phone number is not coming up as spam. I've seen that happen too, and it could be the the detriment of that outbound campaign because then nobody's answering, they're all going to voicemail.
Yep.
So making sure and then if you do have approval to text that customer, maybe text them and ask them best time to call. That could be another really good approach for outbound, in terms of what works well. So those are just some things that I've experienced over the years.
Spot on, because you really need a good telephony system. So there's not a 3 to 5 second delay before they connect and you hang up.
Yep.
Technology is really important. Also, being able to pronounce someone's name. And when you finally get through to that person on an outbound and they can't pronounce my name or your name, game over. And so this goes back to again making sure that you have the right person with the right training to do that. And I can't tell you how many people get it wrong, but when someone says, "Hi, is this Michael?" And I say, "Yes." And they say, "I would love to say Mr. A, but I can't pronounce your name. Can you help me pronounce it?" Well, who's this? Now we've just started a little bit of rapport.
Yeah.
We broke the ice that they're being professional and they don't want to butcher my name
Yeah.
versus, is this Michael Arnowitz? No, it's not Arnowitz. Who is this? Like already I'm aggravated. And so
Yeah.
these are the little things that we talk about that we just take for granted to get to do as we're trying to win back someone who's paying you $229 a month. Like, I'm a $2,500 a year account. I don't know. Least you could do is get my name right.
Well, let's talk metrics next. What KPIs matter most when evaluating the success of a retention or a win back campaign?
I wish there was an easy answer on that, but there's not. Um, because many companies measure things different than others. So if we're in a subscription model where you pay $229 a month, the question becomes to save someone, do I offer a promotion? Do I offer a discount? Or do I just try to save them at the same price? So some companies will say, Lauren, your average lifetime for us is 39 months. And at month 12, you're going to cancel. It may be worthwhile for me to try to save you by giving you a free month or giving you some sort of promotion off or giving you a gift card if you buy something else. That's one way to measure. The other way is we're measuring just pure saves. How many saves were we able to do? How many saves were we able to do at the same monthly price? So each company has different metrics. I've come across lately a lot of companies who want to do retention who are not willing to offer anything other than the value of their product to try to resell them. And I think that's really difficult.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. We also have other companies who will measure you on lower the price, but upsell another product. So add something to give something. So each one's different. And it goes back to what we said earlier of who owns this channel: chief revenue, chief marketing, CX. Who gets the revenue? Who gets the recognition of revenue? And who's paying for the expense of this team?
Yeah. And last question here. Looking ahead, what trends are you most excited about when it comes to improving the overall customer lifetime value?
I'm excited that many companies are thinking about taking their contact center and making it a revenue driver. who is starting to see that the value of human interaction is more than just care.
Mhm.
That now, as AI can do a lot of things to help reduce and deflect, that humans in a contact center can be your best revenue driver to not only save your customer, but to drive more revenue per interaction. And we're seeing that more often than not, where companies are going, I got 300 people every day talking to someone. Just imagine if 10% of them sold something, how
Yep.
much more revenue that can be. So I'm excited that people are starting to think that, in that their contact center in the business that we're in is their number one revenue driver.
Yeah. I'll also add one too, which I'm a firm believer that outbound is making a comeback for that reason. There is no better marketing out there than a conversation with your customer. So calling my customers, identifying needs, cross-selling, upselling products or services that could fulfill the need, so much more powerful than a billboard or a TV spot or a social media ad even. So I do think that's another trend that I myself is super pumped about. With that, Michael, I once again enjoyed this conversation tremendously. Want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in, and we are looking forward to seeing you on the next one.
Thank you. See you guys.
Bye bye.